time.
It just likes to keep you on your toes, Kathy.
There we go, there we go.
What do bars get?
So that one.
You need talk about them.
My vote Friday and Saturday, and I'll have to input it when we start, but we're sure my name is.
Change your street view and don't put 80 degrees. There you go. Yeah.
Yay. All right.
Begin recording. Degrees.
Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Call to order with pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll do roll call.
Councilmember Kyleman,
Present.
Councilmember Happy.
Here.
Councilmember Seeger,
Here.
Councilmember Pruitt,
Here.
Councilmember Price, Councilmember Cramlett,
Here.
and Mayor Webb.
Here. All right, additions or amendments to the agenda?
We have no change.
We do have, two more people applied for budget committee, so you have your application, so we will amend it to put them in there. That gives us three that will be appointed tonight to budget committee. And that's it. And then adoption of the consent agenda.
I move to adopt the slightly modified consent agenda, including the approval of the action minutes from April 13th, 2026, and ratification of bills in the amount of $174,684.35.
Second.
Who was the site? Who's that?
Second.
Because of the budget,
But that's clear down here.
That's.
That's not in the consent agenda.
Yeah.
But thank you. Appreciate your effort.
so that's it. Move to approve the consent agenda as otherwise stated.
Right, so I got a motion by Happy, second by Pruitt, and is any discussion? Right, all in favor of the adoption of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, all said yes for adoption of the consent agenda, the approval of the action minutes of April 13th, 2026, and ratification of the bills in the amount of $174,684.35. The motion was by Happy, seconded by Pruitt.
Can I just say that it's been very nice to have the bills in order and not have to stress about going through them line by line. Later, and I appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you. All right, and we don't have any interested citizens to share a variety of perspectives on issues facing our community. There's none of that. All right, special reports, none. Public hearings, none. And then reports and presentations. We have Mount Hood Community College here tonight. If you guys like to come forward.
So.
Good evening, my name is Lisa Starr, president of the community college, and thank you for giving us time to come back out and let you know about what we're doing at the college. The impact we're having and some of the recent developments that are going on. I'm joined tonight by two of my board members, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Good evening, my name is Andrew Spear. I serve on the Board of Education and have since 2019, and I'm this year's board chair.
Hi folks, Will Miller, I serve on the Board of Education in Mount Hood Community College, Zone 2, been on the board for about a year now.
That's okay. Yeah.
So just a kind of a brief overview, Mount Hood has been serving this region for nearly 60 years. We were founded in 1966 and awarded our first degrees 2 years later. And since then, our role in the region has only grown. Today, we serve a very large and diverse geographic area across 3 counties, 3 campuses, and we employ 1,200 dedicated faculty and staff. Last year alone, we awarded over 1,500 degrees and certificates while keeping tuition affordable at $124 a credit. And because access and affordability is so important, our foundation spends a lot of effort raising money for for scholarships. And last year we awarded $1 million in scholarships to our students so that they can continue their education. Now, Mount Hood is designed to meet students where they are and take them where they want to go. That includes everything from dual credit opportunities with high schools, adult basic education with GED, and more than 100 career and technical education programs. We also offer transfer programs, community education, business training, Head Start, apprenticeships, and we're proud to be Oregon's only two-year college offering an applied baccalaureate in cybersecurity. In fact, we have our first graduating class this June. Now, this breadth is intentional. It reflects the many pathways that students take in their careers and into higher education. Now, I want to pause and say thank you. Because last year, the college finally passed a bond. It was our first bond in 50 years. This council was incredibly supportive. We couldn't have done it without your help and support. It's a powerful statement of trust, and we take this responsibility very seriously. Mount Hood is the only educational institution in Oregon to receive the National Triple Crown Award by the Government Financial Officers Association for stewardship and transparency of taxpayer dollars. And beyond that, our economic impact is significant, with more than $423 million annually. Since opening our doors, we've served over 1 million students. Now, a quick look at who we're serving currently. Last year, we served a little over 18,000 students. 75% of our students are part-time, and 65% are first in their family to go to college. 2/3 live right here in our district, and 40% of our students are students of color. And this is why it's so important that we connect with you and serving you, because Mount Hood is often the first step to higher education for some students that may not otherwise think about going to college.
I'm gonna cover some about the bond, which I was out here last year in preparation for the bond campaign, and so you might have, if you were here then, you would have heard some of these slides, but wanted to just update you on where we stand, after the passing of the bond. This here is a rendering of the pool facility and our currently outdoor 50-meter pool, which will have a cover over it. And so that's the first project that will be completed and is set to be complete sometime within the next, towards the fall, I believe, end of summer, fall. And we're gonna be able to host events year round, which we otherwise couldn't, previously. We did have a temporary solution, but that failed a few years ago, and so we haven't had the opportunity to really host year round until, this structure is completed. But I think this is a good example of the community component of, our work and the ability to serve community in a different way that we otherwise wouldn't have without these facilities in the bond, passage of the bond. We're also restoring some areas around the pool facilities around ADA access, and there will be an indoor stands also for viewing. Next slide here is really getting at the community trust component. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight that I think is really important is just the spending of the dollars. So we have, as part of the bond, the certain timeline that we must spend the dollars on. And we've got about 6% of the bond will be spent in the next 6 months, or in the first 6 months from February of this year, with the remaining over the next 2.5 years. With the completion of the bond in August 2030. So those are all capital improvements that will be made, and most of that is focused in on areas. We really had core areas that we talked about in the bond campaign were safety, being able to, for example, lock down all the doors in a centralized for, like a emergency situation. Also the community component around the last slide around the pool, being able to serve community. And then we have facilities right outside of the main campus, like our Maywood Park campus, being able to provide updates at those outlying buildings. Modernization for our students, so there's literally chalkboards in some of the rooms still, so getting just modernization and carpets and remodel and paint. And then the other components are around modernization for students is we're working on building out as part of the bond a integrated facility for our allied health, and so that will be allow different disciplines like our nursing, our respiratory care, CNAs to all work in one lab space, which will mimic the real world, for example. So those are the kinds of priorities that were set forth in the bond, and we're looking to deliver here in the next 2.5, 3 years. This next slide, I think, gets to the award that Lisa was mentioning around the Triple Crown Award. Our credit rating you see there on the slide is up there at the first bullet point, and then the second bullet point talks about the number of dollars that we were asking in the bond. It was 136 million, and after we sold the bonds and because of our credit rating, we were able to get an additional 10.9 million, which got us up to 147. So you know, I think I work in local government for my day job, and I think it's fiduciary responsibility is really important to me in my work at the city I work at, and then also in this role of governance that I sit on the board. And so really excited that we've prioritized that over the last 7 years since Lisa joining is the financial responsibility and obligations. And so with that carries through with our passage of our bond, which I'm really excited. And then a little bit of this is just covering some of what I've already mentioned. The first project being our aquatics facility and the dome being finished. Parking lot repayments, we've already done some of that work. And then, you know, ADA, so we've got the track facility not far from the pool. That will have resurfacing and ADA accommodations there done as well. Then there's a lot of infrastructure with the bond period, but then around the buildings that are the sports facilities, around roofs, HVAC, just the normal nuts and bolts of operating the buildings across campus will be updated as well. So from today, for the next 3 months or so, we've got these items here on the slide. Focused in on, you know, being able to accomplish those tasks. The biggest thing I think that's important for the longer term is the hiring of the consultants that will be doing the architecture and planning for the projects across campus. There's some design components that we need a lot of thought and effort put towards it with a campus community and through the consultants work. So, you know, an example of that is we're prioritizing student space and remodeling student space so that students can collaborate and study together. And so those being able to have spaces across campus and not just central to one side of campus. You know, I think a lot on the campaign, a lot of people were like, well, how much is it going to cost me and why do I need to pay? And I think what is important to me and was to me during the bond campaign and then after the passage is that this is really a long-term investment, and we went 50 years without investment. And if you think about any kind of accounting life on assets, right, normally you get to 30 to 40 is starting to stretch it, and we went well past that. And so now we're just at the point of modernizing and just taking the facilities we have and ensuring that they can live another 50 years into the future. So there's no new square footage with any of the bond. And so we're just really maintaining our current footprint and ensuring that stable for years to come. And I just see this as an economic driver for the community. Lisa mentioned the different outcomes of what the economics of students graduating and just the community that we employ at the college. I mean, you take that and then you multiply it when students graduate. I'm an alumni, my mom was an alumni, and I think about the trajectory of just my family and how it's impacted both my earning potential, my ability to navigate in the workforce. So that's just one example of hundreds and thousands across our region and our state that the Mount Hood is impacted. So just want to put that in perspective of when folks get their, you know, their property tax bill, you see the line item, the bond, it is adding, but as we mentioned in the bond, it's about $60 a year, and actually it'll be slightly less than what we forecasted for the average household. So I believe that's a good investment for our community. The last slide here is just a website that we are maintaining to show progress on the bond updates as they go along and project planning. So can always go there to check out status and where things lie. And I'll turn it over to Whit.
Thank you, Andrew and Lisa. So this year Mount Hood is turning 60. So we have a lot of celebrating to do. And this next slide, you'll see just a little fun retrospect. We've had a wide variety of different versions of Barney, the Saint Bernard, our mascot, over the years. It's really interesting to see some of these photos. And then we see, really what we see this as is not just a milestone. It's really an opportunity to build into the future with you all, with our community here, in the Mount Hood area. So like Andrew mentioned, he's an alumni, I'm an alumni. This alumni blood runs deep. But it's really an opportunity to highlight student success, deepen our partnerships, and engage our community through awareness of our pathways from high school to post-secondary education and career. And so we'll start this fall with our celebratory items, and it'll go through spring of 2027. But we want to do this together in partnership with each of you by sharing success stories, collaborating on events, and continuing to build a strong, visible pathway for students across our regions. And then lastly, this really isn't just about celebrating our past 60 years. It's about building on the next, making sure that we have a college for folks to go to in East County, to rely on and to look toward as a community hub. But this is where you all can help. Do any of you have any old photos associated with people, events, or old versions of Barney like you saw just a little bit ago? We'd love to have you send them to us. And so we can share and celebrate the milestones over the years, and everything that we've accomplished together. You can do that by submitting photos to bmc@mhcc.edu. And just want to thank you again for your time and energy.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Bernard?
Yeah, just a few comments. Thanks for coming out. I'm not considered an alumni, but I did do the transfer program, did your natural resources program, and I was at OSU until this past December when I'm probably running for office. But anyway, had an amazing experience. And I should tell you, before that, I was working for the city of Gresham, and I used to swim in the pool on a regular basis. And I can assure you, not only is it's a quality of life thing, but it's a health thing. Like, I would go in there and I would see young and old and just all types of ages of folks getting a workout in. If you get old, like I'm getting old, you know, your joints would love some pool time, because running and all the other stuff I do takes its toll. So I'm so thrilled you're making that event, but it definitely seen its better days when I was swimming there, you know, whatever, 5-10 years ago. And then I just want to congratulate you on your financial management. So am I correct in understanding that the measure had a levy dollar amount set at X, but because your rating was so strong, you could actually attract a lower borrowing rate, and that's what allowed you to get more money? That is phenomenal. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
bond premium that we got for, because of the great credit rating and how they scaffold how they sold it. So-
Right. Well, congrats. We did a lot of bond issuances in Gresham, and I don't think that ever happened to us, so that's pretty phenomenal. Congrats.
All right, Tom?
So I'm not an alumni, but I was a freshman here at Cascade Locks when this all started in '66. And we didn't have small town schools, small town folks and Mount Hood, because I remember everything about the opening up and the excitement of all the students at Cascade Locks of having the ability to go to a community college as opposed to going to 4-year school. Because a certain amount of kids were going to the 4-year schools, never gonna go, but there was a number of kids that weren't going to 4-year schools. Mount Hood offered them that opportunity, and lots of those kids have done really well by their life. So yeah, Mount Hood has done very well with Cascade Locks. So we appreciate what the school
Anybody else? I actually graduated with my CNA through your college back in 30 years ago. At least. But I appreciate you guys coming and giving us an update on how you, what you did with the money and what you're doing with the money and all of that. And cause you made a promise to come back and give us an update and you kept it. And we appreciate that. Did anybody else have any questions, comments? No? All right, well, then,
One thing, I think when we were here last year, there was a question around EMT, possibly paramedic, because there was a need out here. We have just revamped our EMT program and are exploring the feasibility of doing a paramedicine. And I know that our folks that are working on this have been in contact with some people out here. And so
okay.
just wanted to let you know, we heard you and, when they were talking about it, I said, you need to check with Cascade Locks. They're like, no, they're already in the loop.
So
So,
good, good.
hopefully next year when we come back, we'll have more news to share with you.
Yes, thank you guys so much and thanks for taking the drive out. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to department reports. Committee report and city's administrator report.
Thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
So the first item on the list is we have been presented with the engagement letter from our auditors for the 23-24 audit. This is the first formal step in getting the audit started and moving forward. So again, we're focusing on the budget right now. We'll get the budget done. We'll be coming back on it. Number two are wastewater pumps. The first pump that has been repaired and installed. The second pump is on the bench being rebuilt. All the parts are available. And the two old pumps will be scrapped and we will be replacing them in the budget in the next year. I wanted to give you an update on the EDA substation project. We received a bid for the 12, 16, 20 megawatt remanufactured transformer of $600,000 with an 88-week delivery. 88. New would have been 100. What that means is we cannot get it in here before our deadline of January 17th. I think it's January 17th, 2027. So with the 600,000 that was bid for our budgeted for the transformer plus 600,000 to install it, leaves us a $1.2 million potential opportunity. We don't want to give the money back. I mean, I don't want to give the money back. But if we could use that money to build a facility on the substation property that can house our electric trucks, our transformers, which need to be housed inside. The trucks need to be in an insulated space. They can have offices. We can build it big enough. Maybe we can get that done. It would require a change in the scope of work with the EDA. The EDA is coming on May 5th. We're going to tour the facility. The original purpose of the EDA hardening grant was to make us resilient through bad weather. We don't want ice taking the wires down across the freeway. This is a continuation of that resiliency. Keep our equipment indoors where it won't deteriorate. Keep our transformers indoors where they won't deteriorate. So I'm gonna present the scope of work potential change to the EDA and see what they think, and see if it's possible. We're also working with the port, who has been in contact with Senators Berkeley and Wyden and Representative Dexter to ask for an extension. We have had all the extensions that are allowed, but they don't want to give back any federal money either. So this is a potential to shift and for the city to come back and actually give some benefit other than a transformer that we can't get here in time. Your thoughts?
Tiffany?
So does that mean at some point in the future, we will still be trying for the transformer, or will that space be occupied now?
The space will be occupied. In the future, when we went from, we have a 20 megawatt transformer now in Pyramid, we were looking for a 20 megawatt transformer in this BPA substation. The original idea was redundancy, when one is out, we could use the other when the other was out. But it's not really redundancy, it's just an increase in capacity, because if the BPA line goes out, there's no redundancy, we don't have any power. So let's go back to the resiliency thing, and where we have to store our transformers. We don't have a place to store transformers right now. We can't keep a stock of transformers in inventory anywhere because we've just moved them off the wastewater treatment plant. So, and I don't know if this is possible. I really don't, but I think we could build 80 by 100 foot, 5 bay shop shed insulated for $800,000. If we could keep it under 800,000 and not have to borrow the Oregon Business Development Department $488,000, which is a loan, then we don't have to pay it back. We'll just use EDA funds. And so that's, I'm trying to make lemonade. And that's the best way I could come up with. The electric department's excited about potential for getting a building. Again, we haven't made any promises to anybody, because it all depends on whether the EDA will allow us to shift this to the scope of work, but it's in the spirit and intent of the original grant. That's what I have to sell.
You have another question?
So again, so that means we're just gonna do away with the transformer, the station?
Well, no, we'll still have the 20 megawatt. We're only pumping at 8 megawatt now a day. So we still have capacity to increase up to 12 more megawatts. If we get a quote data center that needs more than 10 megawatts of power, we're gonna make them put the transformer that they need on their property, and they'll have to pay for it. So we have enough for the town, we have enough for how we're currently functioning with some growth, 60% more growth. If we need more than that, then we have to look at other alternative solutions. The other issue we had was, if we had both, if one was down, we could operate off the other one. There are things now called portable transformers, that we can bring in if we need to take our pyramid down for maintenance. We can bring in these portable transformers, not lose power while we're working on our transformer. It adds the cost up, but it's feasible.
And those are available
Relatively,
instantly.
relatively simply, yeah.
Okay, hold on just a second. Are you done with your question?
Well, so if you could explain what the original intent of the EDA loan was, because some of us weren't on board when that
Back in
happened.
2017, the year of fire and ice, when we had ice storm in January, where it layered up on the wires and broke the trees and brought down wires. And in September, we had something called the Eagle Creek Fire. The EDA offered grants for utilities to become resilient to fire and ice. And that was the original intent. That's why it's hardening. We are, what we're doing in this project is we're running from the BPA power line. We're upsizing the wire and the stuff that carries the wire and the poles. That's $750,000, and that's available in that $3 million budget. That way I've worked this thing, but that's so that the power line doesn't fall down over the freeway and stop traffic. So that was the original resilience, the intent and the resilience, and we sold the two transformers on the basis of redundancy, but it's not really redundant, it's just added capacity.
Okay, are you here?
Well, so that was gonna be my other question was, can we make it to take care of the tunnel, all of that work that needs to be, I mean, it's not.
No, we had to buy the BPA property, so it's focused on that property and the distribution of the power across the property to our substation and then out to the. But that's a great thought. Maybe they'll,
Yeah.
I'll work on that one.
All right, Courtney.
Could this building potentially be used for more than just storing transformers and parts? I know Mr. Fox had brought up possibly in the future when we're looking at getting better equipment, the benefits of storing them inside. So does it have more than one purpose?
That's part of the resilience, that's why it'd be, 80 by 100 feet. I think the,
Oh, it does say trucks there.
yeah, sorry, I tried to get trucks. And I'm not making any promises either, but if I can make it big enough to house not only the electric utility, but our public works and have all of that equipment under a roof. It would help that, I think, work it there.
Bernard,
Thank you. So. Look, I find myself asking, what are the top priority, given the conditions of this funding? And then I know it's not uncommon in other coastas, they will have a list of capital priorities for the utility that says, hey, these are your needs. And then this is your revenue, and there's usually a deficit between what your needs are and what the available funds are to meet those needs, and then governing bodies like ourselves, we wrestle with how to prioritize and give them that. So I really feel like it'd be my interest that we show this to the engineers doing our COSA. We signed that contract, right?
Yes,
And say, hey, you need to add this to your analysis on looking at our entire utility, doing what you've already done, and then giving us some feedback on what would make most sense, what would be the smartest use of these funds, given its restrictions, and kind of given your conversation with the senator's office,
yeah,
whatever we can do on scope change. I'd like their input in this.
I think that's a great idea, but the coast is probably gonna be done if I wait until that's done, in order to show that to the EDA, we're not gonna have time to build it. But I appreciate the thought and we'll consider that for sure.
we only have, we're on an extension for this grant currently, so this is an extension that we're on, and it's good until January 17th of 2027. And my kid has doubts that we'll make it, so that's why I'm trying to change things up. Tom, and then I get Tom.
So the transformer we have from BPA, some of the issue with it is it leaks gas.
Right.
But it's a transformer 70 years old, and you can look at it, the thing's super old, but it's never really been under a major load. So what killed the transformer is heat. So this one really hasn't been under that kind of heat. Is there, can we either get BPA in this deal of buying it, or we've already bought it? I don't know.
We already bought it.
We already bought it, okay.
So
Well,
we might.
about refurbishing it to where it's not leaking and taking a look at it and say, let's make this thing as good.
We might be able to sell it. There is $85,000 in the budget to remove it, so.
And then you don't have, but then you don't have that extra transformer. You don't have an extra substation.
But you can't, it's not big enough. It's only a 6 megawatt substation and we're running 8 right now.
Sure,
But
at maximum,
at max,
at maximum.
yeah,
Then, BPA said that they can run at 8 for a long, well, that's what they said.
that's what they said.
They said it would run at 8. And, I look at it and I don't know what the process, if we keep, my biggest thing is to be able to keep the town. I don't owe as much to a data center or something like that as I do to the community. And the community only doesn't need it. The community can go on a lot less than 8, and the community runs off less than 6 itself. So if I had one and I could run the community, keep the community going. Sorry, folks, until we get the other one going again, you're out. I don't think we need to have equal amount, because anything I'm giving to the big one is industrial, it's not community. So I look at, and as far as substations go, you got a transformer in both of them, but the supporting equipment for that transformer on the BPA side is much better supporting equipment than it is for the one at Snyder. And I don't know if you're looking at moving it over there to that, but again, it may be an older transformer, but it has the best supporting equipment as opposed to the one at Snyder.
I'll have to talk to engineers about that. That's a good point.
Anyway, for me, I'd like to the redundancy is there for us. I hate to lose I hate to lose the redundancy, and I would make I would set it up as a priority that, you know, if we lose something, Cascade Live, if we have to switch to that one, and because we're always pulling a little bit out of it anyway, that's,
It's
you
not
need to
hooked
keep it
up.
warm anyway.
It's not hooked up at all.
You're not pulling any,
Nothing.
you're not pulling over to the fish hatchery or anything else? So it's not staying warm.
It is not.
No, that's not a good thing. Well,
That
but,
was,
but there are people who look at them, and we know that leaks is gas.
Yeah.
So we already knew that, but anyway, that would be my thing, is there a way to refurbish it, what that would entail and still get you the building, cause I'm all for the,
Yeah.
you know, I'm all for trying to get the building.
the site may not be big enough to do that, but we'll put that in the discussion.
Okay.
Right, Sharon.
Oh, I was just, kind of a follow-up to what Bernard was saying with, you know, presenting this to the folks that are gonna do our COSA for us. And I appreciate your willingness to, you know, not wanting to lose the money and coming up with another solution. Were there other projects you had in mind for that money, or this?
It's gotta be under the EDA hardening theory. And the undergrounding of the tunnel may be
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
part of that,
Yeah.
because we're doing the resilience. That's a great thought. I really
Full
appreciate that.
replacement after we have the audit, or?
Yeah, well, I'll just have to talk to the EDA, see if we can change the scope, but that's really a good idea.
Especially since it has to do with fire and.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
if you're considering, if, you know, we are allowed to build a building and they approve that for the funds, knowing that we need a new city hall too, I mean, would we be moving city hall staff out there to admin staff? No. So maintain two buildings.
Well, I can't build a new city hall. I go out there. I don't know that that's in the spirit and intent of the hardening.
Can the building get done by January?
That's a good question. That's what we have to figure out, and that's what we have to use the engineers for.
No. Yeah.
That's if it can't, though.
It's a big project.
It is a big project, but relatively simple building, you know. Span. But again, though, if we could divert some things for the undergrounding and maybe pole replacement and doing some of that kind of hardening, maybe they will be more amenable to doing that. We still need, maybe we can build a smaller building. We could buy another building. You know, of course, it's gotta be 25 foot tall with 20-foot bay doors. But I just don't wanna give the money back, and I want to improve the system.
And are there restrictions that you know of with that grant as far as things that you can't spend the money on?
City Hall,
Yeah.
we're looking at other monies for City Hall, but anyway, I really appreciate your input, that's really good.
What I was asking though is, you know, for that grant, when we apply, there's probably restrictions on what those funds can be used for.
That's why we're asking them to see if we can change the scope of work, so we can take the money from buying this transformer and doing that resilience project to some other similar resilience project. That's the question.
And then does Mr. Box have any input on, you know?
He's right there with me.
It seemed like, I watched his presentation, I read through the report, and it seems like that's really a major focus of what he's talking about through the whole thing is wildfire mitigation. You know.
Well, and again, we don't have any, we got rid of all of our transformers, even the ones that are leaking. And we don't have any place to store it. And so even if we did a small building that we could put transformers in, would be a step ahead. But we need to we used to have our equipment covered. We need to do that now, only do it professionally.
Bernard, you got.
Okay, so but it's safe to say you can't like buy a bucket truck, can you, with that money?
No, probably not.
Okay.
And he's meeting with them on May 5th, so then we'll know more about like what we can or can't do. Hopefully we'll have some insight.
I just want you to understand. Right now, we're gonna turn back 2 million out of a $3 million, $1.5 million out of a $3 million application, and I'm sorry. My wallet's not friendly. So that's number 3, thank you. The mayor and I attended the spring conference, I'm sure she'll have lots of comments that her time has come, but one thing is. Yeah, all city councilors have to have Oregon government ethics training every year. Now, if we invite Oregon Government Ethics Commission to come out and do that training, it is a 6-hour seminar. If we have LOC come out and do the training, they did it for us in under an hour.
Yeah.
And it should be every year. I'm trying to find it where it's virtual. So that you can go through it at your own speed and stuff, but I have not, I just started today looking for that, and I haven't found it, but we will find a way to get you trained so you, for your ethics.
Do other organizations like GFOA, like I'm a member of GFOA, do they also kind of put on those ethics?
They're not required to have it, elected officials are required to have the ethics training,
Yes.
so. They might, but LOC definitely has it,
Yeah, and they might, yeah, you might check with them online and stuff too.
so I just let you know about that. Update on the Ruckle Creek slide, the FEMA declaration that was for the December rainstorms was signed in Washington DC. That may provide funding for the removal of the debris on the historic Lumber Highway Trail. The problem, however, is twofold. One is the timing of the FEMA funding, which is a reimbursement of 75% of the cost, which means somebody has to put up the whole cost to begin with. They get 75% back. And 2, FEMA funds cannot go to federal agencies like US Forest Service on whose property the slide is. The ODOT, Forest Service, Parks and Rec, and Oregon Emergency Management Systems, along with the Governor's Regional Solutions Teams, are all exploring funding options for all of this that happen. There is a slight modification in the budget calendar. We will still do the budget training on the 16th. Budget meetings will be 13th and 27th. I will be out of the office the week of the 20th, and Mary Ann didn't want to do it all by herself, so.
Mary.
What can I say? And well, June 3rd, if we need it, we could still get the budget hearing either on the 8th or the 22nd of June, so. I'll give you a Wednesday night off in the middle of May. Housing code update, we did get that $100,000 grant for the housing update. Jamie Crawford, who was selected to do that update for us, submitted her proposal to HAPO, which is the housing. Sorry, Housing and Production Office. Or what happens then, where I'm so sorry, I'm getting old. Did a review of her plan and said, no, you can only review the housing portions of our code and only approved $56,096. So we are not getting a complete comprehensive plan review as we had hoped, but we are getting a housing review. And I'm sorry, but that's my report.
And I'm not, don't take this the wrong way, Mary Ann, but do we know when we're gonna get the budgets?
We are shooting to have the budgets available at the budget training meeting in May. It may be a day or two after that, but that's our goal.
Nice, thanks.
Right, ready to move on? All right, action items. Approved resolution number 1527, referring a prepared food and beverage tax to the voters on November 3rd general election.
I move to approve resolution number 1527, referring the prepared food and beverage tax to the voters on November 3rd, 2026.
Second.
All right, I got a motion by Price, second by Seeger. Any comments? You have anything, Sherelle? Do you have anything? Questions, comments, or you want to come back to you?
Maybe.
Okay, Tiffany, please.
So I don't really have a question, but I do have a discussion for the council that I really think that we need to determine now. And prior to budget and for our presentation to the public. I don't know why I didn't notice this before, but the presentation from, and I know ICA probably just cut and paste a lot of information from the previous city administrator, but this, as the city administrator report stands, is not an improvement whatsoever to the fire and EMS department. It's just a straight transfer. They'll get the same amount of money. And general fund will get another $260,000. And I think that that's gonna be a really, personally, that's gonna be a really tough sell to the public, because it sounds like we are giving money to the general fund for admin, and the fire department is just gonna stay at the same level. To me, the only way that I feel that we are gonna be able to sell this to the public is that it is genuinely going to be money. That the fire department get the same amount of money that they're getting from the general fund. And this. Food and beverage tax, because otherwise I just don't really think we're gonna sell it, because if we do it according to what, and I'm sorry, I didn't read the previous city, this might have been the argument all along, and for some reason I didn't catch it, but then I did the math this time.
That's my presentation.
Okay.
And I did it that way so it could show the impact of what the citizens. The difference in that, the support of the citizens. It was not the intent to say they're not getting any of the tax. They're getting all of the tax. But you don't approve a budget when you don't know how much you're gonna get.
And granted, but
That's all I was trying to do.
I understand that, but at the same time, this presentation here. It has all, I understand, all the money's going to the fire department, but if you also have a reduction from the general fund. Which makes the budgeting for the fire and EMS the same amount, it's not gonna change anything.
Again, I was just trying to see what's the impact if we do it. It wasn't changing anything about what we could do, because you gotta move it from the general fund to the fire department for capital projects in any case. But we have a list of what the capital projects are. What you don't know is how much.
Agreed, and I get all that, we have like a couple of years before we're really gonna finally know really how this all washes out, and I get that. But I think it's incumbent upon the council to reiterate to the public that this is going to be an improvement. It's not gonna be a same level, because I mean, that's the way it looks in the report, for the average citizen. So I would just hope that we would have that discussion, and I don't think we can have that discussion after tonight, right? Once we approve it, and
Well, you're always gonna have the discussion, because
Okay.
people are gonna ask you about it.
right, well, yeah, but I mean, at a council meeting, and that's another thing I'd like to know is what can we talk about? When can we talk about it? Where can we talk about it? I mean, like, can we have a discussion about this in the future at a council meeting once we approve for it to go on the ballot?
You can talk about it anywhere you want to, but you cannot spend any funds, city funds, in promoting or not promoting. So if you want to talk about it, you can have it at the council meeting, but I don't think we can be here.
Right, because we're using city funds to have them to facilitate it. Does that make sense?
So that's kind of why I'd like to, agree on what the message is gonna be as far as the funding and the funding levels from general fund and food and beverage tax if it passes. So,
Okay, Bernard,
Okay, I'll take a stab at responding to that, and then tell you where I at. So when I looked at it, I had a very similar reaction. Wait a second, the budget is still 1.04 million, even with this new revenue. So my intention is, I think, very aligned from here. We're trying to create new revenue to meet some of the unmet needs of the fire department. This $1 million budget is inadequate, okay? So I'm like, well, shouldn't it show a bigger total budget, given the fact we've got new revenue coming? And I'm gonna state for the record, that is my intention. If this passes and the revenue is presented, we actually proof it as the city administrator it says out in the report, then I will be advocating their budget not be $1 million, but 1 point whatever 2. Now, let me defend what I think the city administrator was trying to say, and I think we stay on very stable ground, in my opinion, in talking to voters. What's happening if we leave the budget flat is that we've shifted from 73% of the burden of funding fire EMS on us to 53. Now, tourists are paying 53% of, or is it, no, it might be 23% of that budget. We went from 70 whatever to now 53. So, and that I think is a very compelling reason why we're doing this in the first place. Like, we're all the citizens, we're not creating the service demand, the tourists are creating the service, they're not paying anything. Now they're paying anything, and so that frees up money for us to do the things that we wanna do, like code enforcement or other things that we are not able to do because we're shouldering all the burden. So that's how I plan on, when I'm gonna door knock for this. And I'm gonna share those two comments. I'm gonna say, even if the budget stayed flat, and again, I'm only one vote in this fabulous budget committee, they have determined, are we gonna increase are we going to keep the general fund support number at a higher level once this money comes in? It'll be for us a conversation, and we'll see what I will be advocating for a higher number for the fire department. But in the meantime.
What does that mean now? Sorry.
That means, right now, it shows 260, the tourism tax, I'm gonna keep hammering that. I noticed the Columbia Gorge News called it a sales tax, which I vehemently, disagree with. A sales tax applies to everything, this isn't a sales tax. It's a tourism tax specifically on things that tourists buy in our community, okay. So, but you've got 260,000 anticipated from the tourism tax, and now our general fund support is 237. And if you look above, it was 497, right? So what I'm saying is, don't take it from 497 to 237, maybe take it down to, I don't know, 350. So there's the net increase is about $150,000.
I can agree with that.
Okay,
I can
yeah.
agree with that. I was just making it even level. We're taking 260 for one and putting 260 in the other. It doesn't look like what it.
You're absolutely right, your both comments are right, but the budget you're gonna see the next year is still gonna be.
Because we don't have the budget. We don't have the money incoming, and I understand that.
It's gonna be around the 1 million, whatever. And I don't want people to look at it and say, we're gonna pass this and we're gonna have more money immediately. We're not, because it's not effective till January.
Yeah, I figured it's gonna be about 2 years before we really can say in the budget what it's gonna look like.
Well, hopefully, it goes into effect July or January 1st. We get our first collection
Quarter.
April 15th, in the worst quarter of the year, the winter. Multiply that times 4, and that's what you're gonna see in the budget for 27, 28. And then, anything beyond that, you're gonna spend in 28, 29.
Right.
But this was just an effort this is where the budget's gonna be in the next fiscal year, and please don't expect us to get a new fire truck.
Agree. Okay, sorry, thank you.
Okay, I had two other things, okay.
Okay,
So one is it's a tweak here, on section 20. I'm suggesting it read, during normal business hours and after notification of the operator liable for the tax, comma, a third-party city auditor at the direction of maybe blah, blah, blah. Instead of the, as if this is already pre-established, we don't know who this third party is.
yeah.
I think it's better said A. And then the last thing that I wanna say, this is it's a service delivery or a service, it's a budgetary comment. Look, as someone who's been in this field since 2002, I'm very sensitive to when a governing body says, we want more revenue, and you're not asking, okay, well, how can we improve the expenditure side of the ledger? There's always two sides, what you spend and what you pull in. And I've said it in many gatherings, but I continue to think that we need to be studying and researching a regional fire service solution where we reduce overhead and reduce the cost of services, so we don't have the burden both on ourselves and our tourists. I mean, I don't like taxing the tourists, but I think we're in a pickle here and we need revenue, so I'm very much supportive of this. But I always want to be asking myself, what are you doing to reduce your expenditure side? One way to do that is to create a regional service. I repeated this several times, but Gresham Fire Department provides fire for Troutdale, Wood Village, those communities. And if you look on a cost per cost basis, it's always cheaper, a regional versus a local service. And I just don't wanna let that conversation ever go, and I will, as long as I'm on council and we're debating, how can we fund our fire department? I will continue to press for us examining a regional solution, because I know it's more cost effective, and I feel like that's my job as a councilman. Okay, thank you.
All right, Tom, you had your hand up?
Yeah, again, on that, that's what when we came from, there was several years ago, when we had issues with the fire EMS, we gave them a certain percentage. And they had like 40% or whatever came right out of it. That's all they got. They got that, and they got whatever they made doing whatever they were doing, out on the freeway and all. And they got to have that too. And and didn't take long, we got a chief, which was a chief paramedic, that's what it was. One person was that professional job, one. And that covered it. But in order to cover that, we dropped, backing up the museum, we dropped, recreation. Not big money, but we dropped all those things in order to keep this program going. And now we're to the point where we're taking that percentage and throwing in, what, $200,000 or $300,000 of the general fund more into it. And all I would say is, this is never gonna end. I agree that we need to do this. But it should be that, I think all we're looking at is displacing what they've been taking from the general fund. The general fund would have liked to have used for staffing or for other things that they need to do. We keep cutting out everything else in order to make this thing happen. Now, I think this thing's a proper thing to do, but I think that, again, that money, that goes to them, and the other money goes back to as you said, that this is a senator, goes back to the general fund, and then it's up to us. It's up to, but historically, obviously, what we did was, we went back and helped them out. But it should be set up so that, our feet are still held to the fire to make those moves if we make those moves. Because, again, absolutely nothing's gonna stop going up.
Cheryl, did you have anything?
Yeah, I was looking at the deadline in the report that comes with it. It looks like we have some time yet before this has to go with the voters panel. And I know I'm late to the party, and you guys have already done town halls, but I don't know, I feel like maybe I need more information from the community, and I was really looking forward to having maybe some council listening sessions, but again, you guys have already done the town hall, and I see the questions and answers in the report too.
So I was talking to Kathy and stuff, and kind of, because I don't think we had good information when we did our town halls, and I don't think we left it on good footing.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to go through every business, because these businesses have been to the meeting 3 times now. And I would like for us to be able to get some of the citizens to come and want to, maybe we could get like 2 or 3 of us. Bring it up to City Hall, even in the library or whatever, where we have coffee, tea, and they can just come and we listen. They could ask their questions and all that. That way they have a chance. And hopefully we'll have better information for them.
And I
So,
feel better about making a decision about this if I have more time.
Mhm.
And I know that, and if we have more time, I think the last meeting, I asked if this was a rush, and I didn't know that this was gonna be on the agenda, so.
Mhm.
And if I'm the only one that would like to push it out a little bit to have more time to talk to the community, then, I'm just on vote, but.
Bernard,
Well, I guess I wanna ask that question, so. If it must be submitted by August 31st. Wait a second, ballot title public, is that a hard date?
It's in June is what Ruben said.
But June's a
It
big
could be
month.
the end of June.
End of
But
June,
but it has to
okay.
be, it's actually probably mid-July, but he wants to make sure we put it in well enough ahead of time so that it's not a challenge.
So
In
Is-
case it is challenged.
is it fair to say that we have, I don't know, a couple weeks in May? If we did this, we adopted this resolution in May, we can still meet our timelines. Is that
That
accurate?
is correct.
Okay, I don't have a problem with doing some listening sessions.
So,
I'm only one.
keep in mind though that we have budget in May too, so.
well, the other issue is, the second Monday in May is May 11th. May 25th is Memorial Day.
The one we're reading?
So we have one meeting for
A
May.
meeting in May.
Yeah. What if we did it in June?
You could do it in June.
The first meeting in June, which would be when?
June 15th, if I'm seeing it right now, June 8th.
June 8th.
I mean, and that's not gonna stress out the attorney if we do it June 8th.
I'd have to ask him.
I would wanna know his answer, but if he's not too worried, then I'm okay with the June 8th adoption. But that's just me, I just want,
Okay, so put it out to June 8th. What are you gonna do in the meantime?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
what Councilmember Price was proposing. We do some listening sessions. They're really focused on voters, not businesses. Not that we don't care about business, we do,
Right.
because we've already, but they've got a lot of opportunity.
I want their support, I mean, I want them to want this too, right?
Yeah, I think they are where they are right now. That's my opinion. I think some of them are okay and others are not. And I'm not sure that's gonna change with more listening sessions. But I'm very curious to see how voters feel. And we,
see,
that
if
really
we
have a
can
sense of
get
that.
some, I mean, cause you would have to be able to offer a couple different times, like evening and then maybe something during the day, I don't know. But I'm willing, and maybe it should be different ones, I mean, whoever can make the commitment, cause there's no sense in us pushing all this out if we can't make the commitment, make it happen.
I agree.
Oh.
Sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
it sounds like you're interested in participating, is that right?
I would love to, yes.
Okay, so maybe offline we can get together, plan a couple days.
Okay, Tom,
So you talked about a regional fire department or emergency services or, so when you're talking regional, are you talking the great, that we're combining?
Yes.
Well, all I would say to that.
That's fair.
There's your Cascade last night, I graduated from high school here. Hood River decided, we're in Hood River County. Before that, we weren't in Hood River County, they built us a school over there, said now, build the school to become part of our district. Well, they did, and ever since they got that school built, they were gonna get rid of it, and they finally did. Then they got rid of, then they said, we're gonna keep the junior high, and all that, junior high's gone, and now I hear conversations, potentially
Yeah.
the grade school gone. So when I get into a regional thing we lose all control. Right now, when you have all control, and you still have all control when you say that we're gonna put this tax on. And we're gonna give the general fund this amount of money and you get that tax money. You still get to make the decision of whether you say, we get to make the decision. The council gets to make the decision of saying, you know what, Gordon, we're not giving you the $300,000 extra, it's going to emergency service. We get to make that decision to help, if we wanna grow that into it. And we get to decide whether we put everything else in or, but we get to make that decision. Once you go to a regional, you have no input, none. Absolutely none. They have all the power, you have none, and you're gonna take in your emergency services system down here, whatever they decide your emergency services get. That's what I see.
yeah,
So
That's- yeah.
that's kind of outside the debate that we're having.
Okay, well, anyway,
Yeah, we don't need to go there.
well,
I-
that's all that's where I'm at, if you're gonna go regional. Now, I got no problem with doing all the things we're doing it here, cause we're doing. Council, the citizens can deal with us however they wanna deal with it. I'm fine with that. I just don't want it being decided by somebody else.
And I think that we do need to have listening sessions and stuff, and I don't know that putting us off to do that, because it really isn't gonna make a difference in that, because we gotta do something, otherwise we're gonna be without it,
Well,
you know?
well, one example might be, you know, involving the businesses is, like, some of the businesses in town do a 10% local discount. So if we're adding a tax to their bill, then the businesses might be offering a discount, you know, things like that. We can work with the businesses on to make it more palatable, or, you know, I don't know, just.
Just
be more
one thing
organized.
for you,
Mm-hmm.
if you put this off until June 11th, staff can help you at these
Right.
listening sessions, because it's not
Yeah,
on the
that's
ballot.
true, that's true,
It's June 8th, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
June 8th.
I-
So. So do we want to withdraw the motion? We need to withdraw, right, Kathy?
Well, we have to, majority counts on
Yeah,
it.
that
Majority
would be
counts,
what we do.
exactly. You got 2 votes, but that's only 2, I'll let the rest of the folks feel.
Yeah, once there's a motion and a second, then it is the group decides.
Yeah.
It's the group's motion.
So should we just do a vote and have it?
Well, there's another one. If it's consensus to
We
delay,
don't do consensus.
You missed that one.
if the preponderance of the votes seem to be withdrawal, then they can make a friendly withdrawal of the motion. So if you bring it up for a vote and it says no, then you can only bring it back onto the ballot if a member of the no opposition brings it back up to the ballot.
No, I may withdraw my motion.
Yeah. Is that all we need is a withdrawal?
Yes.
Okay, so Sherelle, Price withdrew her motion to approve resolution number 1527, referring a food and beverage tax to the voters on the November 3rd, 2026 general election. That has been withdrew. Tiffany?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but there can be more than, there can be a quorum of counselors there, just as long as it's.
Absolutely.
It's noticed.
As long as
It's noted, yeah.
Yes.
And you take minutes and you, it's like a meeting.
Because I wanted to see something to Sherelle, in the town hall, I think it would be good for us to have another recorded something on town hall where we can maybe just go through the slides and do something and not have a lot of feedback, because I did have somebody call me this week who wanted to watch the one that we did previously, and she couldn't hear anything on it because of the audio system, which I'm gonna keep grinding on. They can't hear anything on it, and when people talk over everybody, nobody can hear nothing, and that was kind of a messy town hall, and I would just like to see us do a cleaner audio, maybe where we can just present the information. I don't know, but just an idea.
There's some really cool things I learned at the LOC this weekend that could touch on that, to where you can reach out to people without them having to watch a 2-hour meeting and just hit the bullet points, so that is a discussion that we could have and do that too, because we don't have to have the whole thing recorded, but we could have like the highlights and stuff like that and make it kind of fun with facts. So are we ready to move on? Approval of McKay
You know,
Esposito as City of Cascade Lots Engineer of Record.
we did a request for proposals. We got 3 requests. They all came out fairly close as we evaluated them on qualifications, experience, staffing plan, and references. Because it was so close, we turned to subjective criteria to make our selection. The proposal from Furwood Design Group showed a definite lack of attention to detail. They commented on They had it printed and flipped on the short side instead of the long side, so every other page was upside down. And I'm not sure I want an engineering firm where every other page is upside down. Next one, Keller Associates, as large firms, there are Hebert and Salem and Fenn. The responsiveness would be limited. They also have offices in Washington and Idaho, but longer response times would be possible with them. Kerr McLeod, who was purchased by McKay Sposito, is our previous city engineer, would still be included in this, but they also included a relationship with Anderson Perry, who designed our wastewater treatment plant. And if we could keep that relationship with Kerr McLeod and with Anderson Perry for the wastewater treatment plant, they would be the preferred city engineer. Questions?
Like a motion.
We have to have the motion first. You have any questions? I guess then I will make a motion to approve McKay's Sposito as City of Cascade Locks engineer of record.
Second.
All right, I got a motion by Pruitt, second by Happy to approve of the city engineer of record. And
I do have a question, there's nothing about cost, is that not part of the?
For professionals, architects and engineers, you cannot ask about pricing until after you've made an agreement with them. And then if you can't afford them, when they show you what their prices are, then you negotiate on prices. I will go back to the second winner.
Wow.
That was, yeah, I could go into the history of that law for you if you want, but
Back afterwards.
well, it's, the idea was you select these professionals based on their expertise and not on their cost.
any other questions?
And I'm just, Ed Hodges, who is the president of Kerr McLeod, has been very, very reasonable with us and responds well. He's here when we need him to be here, and we don't, Kathy will tell you, it's been a really good relationship with him.
Sure.
Is there a term to this agreement?
No, we don't need him anymore.
So we can, in 6 months, we can do this again. If we
We would.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, discussion? No? All right, so I got a motion on the floor to approve of McKay Sposito as the City of Cascade Locks engineer of record. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. All right, it passed for the approval of the City of Cascade Locks engineer of record. The motion was by Pruitt, second by Happy, and it passed unanimously. All right, moving on. Approved profile of the city administrator.
So I'll make a motion to approve the city administrator position profile to initiate recruitment for a new city administrator and authorize the mayor or designee to proceed with recruitment process consistent with the approved profile.
Thanks
Before I do it.
All right. I got a motion by Pruitt, second by Price. Discussion, Tiffany?
Still too many 4 pictures. I'm sorry. Can we not like take pictures of the Pacific Crest Trail sign? I mean, do we not have, I mean, there's like 1, 2, like on the cover alone, there's 3 of port. And well, there's another one of the stern wheeler, which I get, it's part of our community, but it's not really anything that we have any control over. That's. And then the back one, so there's 5 pictures still. 5.
I think it was a pretty piece of art.
I get that, but
The back is like, this is a big part of our town, even though it's on port property, like we've been named the
okay, so that's a 6 picture.
the mountain bike
Okay, I get that.
trail
Trail
destination.
town, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm the trail town.
I just wanna make one comment on it to bring it up to city council. Cause I went through and we made a bunch of changes. And if we did go ahead and leave on under the compensation and benefits, the 4 10-hour work week. And I personally have a problem with that being the mayor, only because when our previous administrator tried to do that, we had problems with that. That's one of the things we didn't like. Because we couldn't get questions answered on the weekend, or, you know, council meetings on Monday and we don't get our packet till Thursday. You guys want your questions answered before Monday, and then he was getting calls on Sunday. So I think if we have that, that is a perk, that our office is for 10 hours. But I think it kind of could lead to some misunderstanding, thinking they actually get to work 4 10-hour days and that's their schedule, even though they're a salaried employee. So that's my concern with having that the way that is. And I don't know how you guys all feel about it. Courtney.
Do we think that's something that Brockman would address? Is that something that was brought up when they interviewed us, to find out what we were looking for in a city administrator?
They could in the interview thing, I think. I mean, I'm gonna do Bernard.
Yeah, so you won't have any argument from me. We had a wonderful, colorful conversation on the work schedule, and staff doesn't want a 5-day work week. I do. I still think that's the best solution for a city like us. So I have no issue at all saying this individual will work a salaried work week and he's expected to be in the office 5 days a week. Even if city hall is closed, he should come in. I guarantee you, there's plenty of things for him to do on every Friday. It's like, this job is more than a 40-hour work week. I've always said that. And I feel like that's a fine condition to make of our city administrator.
Sherelle first.
I was just gonna say, I would imagine that most city professional city administrators would understand that they're salaried and that they should be available by phone on Sunday and then, but whether it's listed 4 10s or 5 8s or.
But I kinda, where I hang up is that we're listing it, so I think that can come across as an expectation. He,
I was just gonna ask Bernard, you've probably reviewed more of these position profiles than I have. Is it customary to see kind of that work week?
I couldn't remember that. That looks new to me, but I
Would
want to
anybody be
ask.
opposed to striking that from to me, I just feel like it's a salary position, why are we
Right,
in that?
I'm on the same issue.
I'd say, you know, we
It's
could
still-
just,
still-
if everybody's okay with that, let's just eliminate that, that way
Right.
we have more flexibility, we're not sending out a unreasonable expectation.
Yeah, the city administrator meets the needs of this city, and that's a full-time, commitment. It's just the
It
nature
takes
of
what
this
time
work.
it's gonna take.
Right, exactly.
and Tiffany first, and only one at a time, otherwise this
Sorry.
audio does not pick it up.
I don't know.
You don't have anything? Okay, Sherelle.
Could it be of value though, that the new city administrator understands that the staff works 4 10s?
Yes.
Well, you could put that somewhere, but I don't feel like it's like a bullet for their.
Okay, Courtney, sorry.
In this 5 8 city administrator, 4 10s.
Staff.
Staff,
Yeah.
that means that the staff is flying solo for 2 hours a day. What if they have questions? Well, what if, they need things addressed as well? I mean,
But I don't think we should say that a city administrator is gonna work 5 8s, because they may not. Their time is like, they need to be able to adjust their time with what's going on in the office. Like if there's something going on a Saturday, they need to be here on a Saturday.
which brings me to my original point, isn't that just kind of understood? Isn't that something,
Yeah.
was that something
Yeah.
you said to Brockman when they interviewed you? Saying, what are you looking for in a city administrator? Cause they talked to every one of us, it seems as if that would be a general understanding that cities have emergencies Sunday night in the middle of the night and they need to be addressed. So there's a phone call, there's you go down the list of people that you're calling to manage.
And Prothman is aware of that. You guys brought it up the last council meeting that you wanted here as a benefit. That it was a 4 10-hour work schedule. And that's why it got added as this. And then once it did and I thought about it, I was like, ugh. Cause I remember the problem we had with it, so I just wanted to see how you guys felt about it, cause I don't want to put that and then think that that's what they're gonna get, Tiffany.
Well, and I agree with what Courtney's saying, that's what I would have said if I would have went followed through, but, I mean. A season, if, get a seasoned city administrator, they're gonna know that it's not a 4-10 job, right? I mean, honestly,
But I just, we put it like 11 paid holidays, you know, EAP program. I don't know, I get the mayor.
Can we put it, is there someplace else?
Courtney,
Didn't the 11 paid holidays shift, with the 4-10 schedule?
we have 11 paid holidays, and then if you look, there's 2 personal paid holidays as well, so there's 13 paid holidays.
When they were on a 5-8 schedule, though, we ended up adding in an additional paid holiday into the 4-10 schedule. So if we're putting out a 4-10's call, are they gonna get 11 paid holidays? And then if we ask them to work a 5-8s, are they now gonna go back to the 5-8 paid
No,
holidays?
your city administrator shouldn't have a set.
Want to be realistic for 24/7. If you want to reflect it in the, sure, put 5/10s. Says,
7/24, please.
So that's the one thing I had, what do we wanna do with that?
I'm in agreement with you, I say just remove it.
Just remove it? Are we all okay? Okay, so, and then update the pictures to not be so much port. Can you tell me which pictures?
Which
Well-
pictures are port?
You got, no, which pictures you would want updated, cause I don't wanna. Cause one, they have to find pictures that, because most of the pictures are trademarked and all that, go ahead, Pete.
I hear you.
And we are part of it.
Picture of the. Like down at the post office, we got that sign that's, doesn't it say port, I mean, doesn't it say Pacific Crest Trail and different things on it, I mean, we take a
Yep.
picture of that and send that in and just.
So of the trail marker, the PCT things, PCT marker, okay.
Which one? Oh, I don't.
you pull out.
Go ahead, Pete.
I was just gonna say, I mean, personally, I think that, you know, I hear what you're saying, and then, you know, but at the same time, I think the photos
Yeah,
do a better job of like telling the story of our community, which is really the idea behind it, is that have photos that were compelling and, they're higher quality images, they reflect. I heard people talk about sailing, we talked about, you know, mountain biking, we talked about outdoor recreation, we talked about the natural beauty surrounding us here, and I feel like they do that. And I mean, we've got a bunch of photos in here, trying to find photos that every single one of us are gonna like and support. I just think, you know, can't we just say, let's move on and just get this thing out there? And that's my recommendation, let's just put this behind us and start the recruitment.
Tiffany.
I think,
I was just gonna say, you've got 2 sailing pictures, why don't you take the sailing picture at the top of page 3 and turn it into the Pacific Crest Trail? That gets your hiking,
and well, we've got also 2 of the Stern Miller and. I mean,
and that's
like-
okay, because we have a former captain on the council. I
Yeah. But that's similar issue.
You all would put that on there, I mean, it's one of them too, I mean, just.
Oh, you don't wanna scare them away.
Yeah.
I think we're just
Way or something,
So I got the
we have to
PCT
have some pride in our
marker.
community, our town, come on, you guys.
Maybe, an aerial, more of an aerial?
Yeah, that would be.
I know, I've seen those.
We have some pictures out in the hallway to meet there.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Something.
So we'll change,
Just a couple.
okay, and we'll lock the one part off. Is there any other discussion, Bernard?
Yeah, so. Does the city administrator know, so what is Stevenson offering again, do you know, their,
15 to 150.
So,
and what is it with benefits, what's their total compensation?
It's much less than that, they do not offer the benefits that we offer.
and Rob would be more than happy to come and talk to council, however, Jared, the guy that puts together the profile off of the information that we gave him. He explained to me in great detail that worrying about what Stevenson is paying and what we are paying is not a problem, because you got people that want to be in Oregon PERS and don't want nothing to be with Washington and vice versa. So the price, the salary amounts really isn't going to, you're gonna be getting 2 different sets of people, applicants anyway. And they didn't seem to think that would be a problem at all.
Okay, but it's safe to say that he's done some analysis on salaries for cities of this size and this service
I can add,
platform that, and this reflects that, because again, I don't wanna undersell our city, given its unique platform requirements and challenges, so.
Well, again, 90 to 115,000 is dependent upon qualifications. So,
And then Tiffany, go
and
ahead.
if you remember,
Yeah,
2 years ago, a wage study was done, and this falls within that parameter of that wage study, so this is. This is within what that wage study said. And I just wanted to also say that on page 5, I like the supporting a dedicated workforce, I really like that paragraph, it's really. It's a
yeah,
nice little touch.
okay.
One more comment, is it necessary to have co-branding with Proctor? I feel like it kind of detracts from our city's branding.
This here,
Well, and it's on every page, you know, like,
oh, I'm sure.
and it's a little confusing if I'm reading this, I mean, it's got their.
I'll
website.
ask him, but
it's,
I bet there,
how they make their money,
yeah,
is doing these recruitments. And so they're gonna, if you pick this up and you didn't see Proctor's name on a page, or you only got one page of it, they would miss the brand recognition. That's really what they're selling.
My preference is that it's focusing on our city, not them, but I understand.
yeah.
They're doing the recruitment.
I'll ask him, see if they can make it smaller or whatever, but I doubt it, go ahead.
Page 3, under the city of Cascade Locks operates under a council manager form of government, not mayor, council.
Council form of government,
Council manager. Now, granted, I'm an administrator, but the type of government is council manager.
cause Prothrin read our charter and that's what they came,
You know,
so council manager type.
council, a mayor council means the mayor is the chief administrative
Right.
officer. And the council, it has other powers like veto powers, which I'm sorry.
We don't have.
You don't have.
No, I don't know.
So that's,
Or this should be.
Sure.
I have one small, thing to the next paragraph underneath that, the under the city operates on blah, blah, blah budget. Finance, public works, electric utility and fire emergency services. Then you have the River County Sheriff, and then it says the city also owns and operates municipal electric utility, so it kind of says it twice, the electric utility.
So should we just drop that out, that sentence, the city also owns and operates a municipal electric utility?
Or pull it out of the first part.
First list, yeah,
Yeah, pull it,
What out first?
yeah.
because that has more space than
Electric
it.
utility, yeah. Delete that, okay. Good catch. And Bernard,
Okay, so, and just so I'm clear, we're gonna make these little tweaks, and then we're getting it published, right? We're not, it's not coming back to council.
right,
We're, tonight is our last.
that's it, cause I got,
This, and then we're moving.
so we're gonna delete the 410s. We're gonna add an aerial photo and a PCT marker. We're gonna ask them about the Procter branding. We can make it smaller. And then we're gonna change it to council manager form of government. And then we're gonna delete the electric utility there.
Yeah.
And then the 410.
City council manager or council administrator, I know you said a manager, but should have
It's
said.
a counselor man.
Cancel man.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, we're an administrator, I mean, is that the same?
It's
thing?
defining a type of government and then you're defining a position, so a
Correct.
type of government is the manager.
Okay.
Council,
Yeah.
In
Good
that.
job capturing all
Yeah.
that there.
Okay,
Alright.
Jared's gonna love us. All right. so let's see. I have a motion on the floor by Pruitt, second by Price. For the approval of the profile for the city administrator. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. All right, it passes, all 7 voted yes, the motion was by Pruitt, second by Price. To approve the city administrator position profile. For the recruitment, and then I have all the notations of the things that I'll change in there. All right. Approved committee appointments, we have 1, 2, 3 people that have applied to be on budget committee.
Make a motion to approve. Colleen Cool, Mary Payne, and Laurel Nagady, sorry. Courtney's she wants the last names done right.
For budget, Councilmember K, sure.
Get thoughts on that.
I got a motion,
Second.
Council K. Howland, right?
I go.
All right, so I got a motion on the floor to appoint Colleen, Mary, and Laurel. The motion was made by Pruitt, second by Councilmember Howland.
There you go. Yay.
And is there any discussion or questions? Go ahead.
How many vacancies does that leave?
That leaves us two left.
Oh, we
We were down,
4 vacancies.
we had 5 because one of the person's terms expired and they have not reapplied.
Hmm.
So we were where we needed 5. So we need 2 more. Any other questions, comments?
We can also operate without.
We have a quorum though now with
Well,
these.
yeah, for.
Oh, we did, okay.
Yeah. All right. So I got a motion on the floor to appoint these 3 individuals to the budget committee. The motion was by Pruitt, seconded by Council Howland. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. All right, we have all appoint all of them unanimously. Thank you, Colleen, Mary, and Laurel for applying for budget. All right,
Indeed.
mayor and city council comments. It's Bernard, let's go with you first.
Well, don't have much to say other than it is another beautiful spring in Cascade Law. Some of you know I'm campaigning, so I'm doing a lot of door knocking and, we just live in a very blessed place. It's absolutely stunning out there. The lilacs, the rhododendrons, it's just the dogwoods. We're blessed and, if you haven't been outside and soaked that in a while, please do yourself a favor. You will rediscover how lovely our community is. It fills me with joy every day, so thank you.
Thank you, Bernard. Hey, Courtney.
Yeah. About lilacs and I get home every day and I love the smell, even I drive through town with windows down. Yeah, it's wonderful. I had a lot of fun picking up trash
Oh, yeah.
the other week, cleaned up some of 84, needed it.
Got that right.
That was good.
Did you get the email today on the cleanup?
I did.
Benson?
I replied back, May is not a great day for volunteers, because most of them have day jobs, just, makes Wednesday, the 6th.
Yeah.
Weekends are much better. I mean, I'm gonna reach out to the locals and see if they can put it together. But for the ones that are helping me right now, they all have weekday
And
jobs.
maybe you could talk to Jake if we could go. talk
Okay,
to-
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. But the,
The dumpster, but
wow,
like, okay,
yeah.
that might be better. I'll do some coordinating. Anyway.
All right, Courtney, sorry about that.
Speaking of flowers, it's square next for fun. Did we, I thought at some point in time we had planted flowers in front of. It was dill salon. It was dill. It was the wrong seeds. Oh,
And so nothing ever got planted there really.
I would love to see that area revamped. I know the power must be turned on to all the outlets out there, because all the outlets are broken, hanging over with wires exposed. the lack of flowers and the overgrowing weeds, it would be great to see that area, cleaned up. Thought about accidentally spilling some local wildflower seeds.
You can volunteer to help out anytime you want.
Okay,
I hope, yeah.
I'll be reaching out on a Friday, cause that's my day off.
I'm home on Fridays, that's my day off too.
All right, are you done, Courtney? All right, Tiffany.
So I have lily in the valley, so it smells really nice when I go. And yeah, and I agree with the flowers, so we need to do something there. We were supposed to get creeping phlox planted in there, and I don't know what happened to that, but it would be nice. It would be really nice if we could. Flowers in general, it would be really nice to see all of the businesses step up their game down along Main Street, because I mean, it could use some improvement, and I don't know how we can motivate them. Maybe we can talk to Main Street and see if maybe they can, or Main Street, is it Main Street? Yes, Main Street, if they can have some sort of concepts to encourage it. I don't know, but it would be nice to see them. I wanna say thank you to the mayor for, even though she said all this chaos this year, for organizing the yard sale. It seemed like there was a lot of traffic in town for that, and a lot of people coming to town. And then I sent an email earlier saying I couldn't get a hold of Alan because the email wasn't anywhere to be found on the webpage or in our directory, so I don't know if that needs to be updated. Also, I've already talked about the audio. I'm gonna keep I know we're in like kind of in a stall pattern, but this is like just been an issue for me since we've been on council, since before we've been on council. We really gotta do something about the audio. We really need to get it improved, and I'm just gonna keep reminding us that we need to do something about it. Also, I remember in the past, we had a discussion, Bernard, about the PTO, and you're concerned about with the 410s that we were paying people. Did we ever finish that discussion? Okay, so I don't want that.
I have it on my
Okay,
list.
okay, so I don't want that to drop off. I also read Alan's list of things, and I really appreciate it. It was very detailed. I appreciate all the information that was in it. One of the things though that struck me was that he talked about the work order system, and that was a big, huge issue. And I was on, Bernard was city administrator, and I was on council. I mean, that was just like the number one issue at the time, and I thought we got that resolved, but it seems like it's kind of still not resolved.
The what system?
Work order system.
Oh.
Yeah, see,
I can tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Electric utility, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be applied for any utility, I agree, but it's work.
Because it is work to do, but it's a way to tie in inventory
Right.
with the job that's done and keep track of your inventory. The inventory module in Cascade was shut off 3 years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we doing?
It's coming back on.
Oh, it's coming back on, okay.
Yeah. So when we have the inventory again on this, in the computer software system module.
Because I mean,
Work order system.
Alan seems very motivated to get it done, and I would love to see that motivation. Be plugged into the system personally. And then also, my last thing was, I read lots, and in one of the magazines I was reading. It said that, the EPA, it was about plastics in your water supply, yeah, PFAS in your water supply. And, it says that the EPA has required public water systems to reduce their PFOAs and PFOs by 2031. Is that something we're actively working on reducing? I think that I looked it up, and I think that it's been extended to 2031, so I think it was something that something was already supposed to be, for small towns specifically, it was extended.
I don't know that we have the problem. We do the water quality report every year, and there hasn't been any mention of that. Probably because we have a limited watershed. It's only 22.3 square miles. And if the water comes down out of the mountain, we're the first ones to pull it out.
Okay, well, I'll send you the information and see if it applies to us, because I don't want to get caught, not having something else in order that it's been mandated on us that we do, and that brings me another question, when these sorts of things come up, like EPA mandates this, does city administrator get, or the department head, do they get
Yeah.
an alert and then?
We usually get all kinds of information.
And are read?
Our various associations that, push them, like electric utilities, for the electricity. Oregon Association of the Water Utilities, Oregon Wastewater Utility. All these associations keep track of these kinds of things. And we have to do the water quality report, which an engineer puts together for us, Darren out of, it used to be Tennyson, now it's AKI. AKS. Does our water quality report, they mandate, have to look at all these things.
Okay, so I'll send you that information. And
That's it?
Yeah.
All right, Tom,
I'm good.
hey.
Hey.
Sherelle,
With budget coming up, and I've been thinking about, public records law. And I was wondering if there's any opportunity maybe for a city councilor laptop or a laptop to come rent out from city hall for city councilors, so we're not using our personal devices.
I had brought it up at a council meeting that I wanted us all to have laptops, Chromebooks, iPads, whatever, and I got voted down on it because for you guys all using your personal stuff, they're all become public record and they can all be confiscated and it's a big deal. Even having your personal things set on the table. So it is a big deal and I would like to see council get iPads, Chromebooks, whatever that you use instead of using your personal things. So that is something that I've wanted, Sherelle, so. If enough of you want it, we can get it voted in, then. It could possibly happen, but it's a real deal.
And maybe there are grants out there or something, I'm not sure, but, I would love to see something available.
Me too.
So they can do the personal device.
It could. Is that all you got?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Tiffany's comments about the garage sale and, you had a lot going on. But it was, the economic impact from the garage sale and the entire community is huge. I mean, everybody was busy this weekend and it's not even May yet and just the amount of traffic we had in town. And then you think about all the residents and all this stuff, they're able to get out of their garage, they just, taking up space. And then you think about all the people that found some really good deals that maybe could, utilize these items and give them a second life. So it's so many wins, from sustainability. It's amazing. And so anyways, I think, it was a great turnout and, I just love seeing people in town and like I said, it was such a beautiful, beautiful weekend.
When people come from across the river.
They come from everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. They come from Idaho. They book rooms here. Yeah.
Oh, I had no
I
idea.
heard
Yes.
one of the people that worked at the grocery store, she commented, they made $800 before 9 o'clock on Friday.
Wow.
So you think about how that really helps the people in this
Mhm.
community too, that maybe you're hurting for cash and they can actually, get rid of some of this stuff that's just sitting in their garage, collecting dust, so.
Yeah.
And then to follow that up with the dumpster days, it's just, and we got the yard waste disposal, and I heard somebody else comment, he's like, we live in such a great town, just like that was what I heard from one of the residents, one of my neighbors that had a garage sale. And he wasn't doing so good on the sales side of things, but he was just real appreciative of, that, and then the dumpster days as well. I'm with you, Tiffany, on the microphones and sound, and I think that, the mayor's heard us on that, and I think our city administrator as well, and I think that really what I was hoping for is that we would just see this in the budget, we don't necessarily have to find a solution, but we just have earmarked some funds to address it, and at least for now, talking to maybe some experts to figure out, what that number needs to be, we don't need to have a solution, but at least have something in the budget, so next year, hopefully soon after the budget's, passed, that we could actually get us, an improvement to that, because that's something. You probably heard as much as I did, we were talking to residents, and we were out door knocking, people miss the closed circuit, television, channel and being able to turn that on. And Zoom is hard for people to hear, as the microphones don't work well. And I think everybody's made a real effort to try to not talk unless you raise your hand and not rustle our papers. And I know that's appreciated, but it's an outdated piece of equipment that isn't really appropriate for what we're using it for. That's all I got.
Thank you, Pete. All right, so I'm gonna say thank you to the ladies that signed up for budget committee. Thank you. We have 2 openings on tourism committee now, and 2 on budget and 1 on planning. So please sign up. And I just found out at the LOC conference that CIS awarded us $5,000 so we could get our leak detection camera for our public works. So, and that has been ordered, but I didn't know that, so I don't think you guys know that, so I want to let you guys know that CIS actually granted us the money to get that, so we could have that camera, so I thought that was really cool. I want to thank Mountain Hood Community College for coming tonight. And then I also want to put some fillers out there that I've heard from businesses about the food and beverage tax, the ones that are opposed to it, is because they don't see us doing anything else to try to raise money. And I don't know, the volunteers don't want to do that anymore. We used to have like a pancake feed at garage sale days where they could come and people did that and got pancakes. But we don't do that. So we almost need like a volunteer committee for the fire department that does, when these runs are in town or whatever, that they're out there doing the work and that money's going to the fire department, that we're showing that we're putting an effort, or that we run down the Wanapa when we have a traffic jam in town with a boot and ask people to put money in it. I mean, other towns do it. So I don't know, just food for thought. The LOC conference was really good. Beds were terrible, but it was good. I learned a lot. One of the things I got from there is the City of Independence. If you guys get a chance, go on and look at YouTube Live. I have not, or not YouTube, just YouTube. And I haven't had a chance, but they did give some examples at the workshop they gave. And they are doing such fun things with just little minutes of time. Instead of expecting citizens to come and watch this council meeting or watch the whole thing 2 to 3 hours, they do what they call a 3-minute thing, where they do 3 minutes and it's all the highlights of what happened at council. And then they may go out and video the guys, the public works that's repairing a pipe in town and show what they're doing as they're working. And they have these little videos. They have one that they call instead of 60 minutes, they call it 60 seconds. And they talk just 60 seconds on what was the findings or not findings or whatever, and they're making it so fun. They've got one that they talk about their parking problem downtown and trying to get people to use the trolley or whatever. So they have lots of good ideas to make government more fun and keep the citizens with the information rather than a newsletter or something like that. This is another way to grab the citizens and keep them up to date on stuff. Also want to thank Kathy and all the staff for all their work. And then I do have the holidays and stuff on my list. I do have a couple things on my list that we just haven't had a chance to get to. And then that's really all I have. I want to thank all of you council, because I know sometimes we're treated like this is a paid position, and it is not a paid position. And that's one of the things that they talked about at the LOC, is that it's getting to where we have such time requirements of people to volunteer their time that a lot of places are looking at some type of stipend and things, because we can't get anybody besides the retired or the people that come after work or whatever. So lots of good information, and it is required that we do the ethics training. So we'll be finding out about that, and that's really all I have. But I appreciate all of you guys for being on council and the healthy debate that we're able to have and all of that. And Bernard, did you have a question?
Yeah, I always love those conferences. I'm
Mhm.
glad you guys went. Maybe for the city administrator, with the impact of AI on everything, really, I've been listening to more podcasts on it. It's a bit unsettling, but it's also powerful. So I'm guessing they had some presentations on that. What, any highlights from that?
Yeah, there are two highlights, I think, that impacted me. One is AI is a tool, and we need to learn to use it. Right. And AI as a tool needs to have boundaries. AI will not be able to make any judgments. It can help, it can be a tool to help the employees do their jobs faster, or to relieve them of the mundane little things like first review of a application for a zoning change or something. They could do that kind of thing. But the decision, it will never, AI will never make a decision that impacts anybody else. So that was the two things, is it's a tool, we need to learn how to use it, we need to learn how to set the boundaries. There are a growing number of companies out there that do municipal work with AI. We've been approached by somebody to just do, if anybody has an application to do short-term rental, for example. The AI can redo the application, make sure everything is there, so that the person can sit at their desk at that night and get an immediate response about what's deficient, what you need to improve. But there was one company there, and he goes, "Your Cascade box, yeah, let's pull up all your short-term rentals." Oh, you have a few? And he said, but he could track based on advertising for each of those short-term rentals, how many days that they were out, and they actually do a collection with their software where they do the registrations, they do the estimation of the based on their rentals and when they're available, and they can track all this thing and actually take payments to make things. We're lucky enough that we have the state doing our audits. But we aren't big enough, and it's $500 a month. This is what they charge, but we can't afford that kind of thing. But it's a growing tool to help do the repetitious, mundane, non-judgmental activities that are that we sometimes do or are required to do. We need to pay attention to it, but we don't. It's not like we're gonna get overrun next week.
Yeah.
And they did say that, it's not to take the human out of it. That you always wanna have a human that's like in charge, cause they've set up like different. There was one scenario they did where it was just two AI people. And they started bullying each other and stuff. So it can be very dangerous if not used the correct way. So it says that, you always, it's not what. You don't want it to do 100% of your job. You always want a human in there to make the final decision. And I guess that's what it boiled down to, Tiffany.
I wonder if it can be used to make a case to Oregon to get them to audit our TLT to see if we're getting the right amount. I mean, I wonder if somehow it could be used.
This one company does that. Actually, we looked at the numbers and we're doing actually very well. We have he asked me, well, how do you find out if somebody's doing a Airbnb and you don't know about it? I said, competition is taking care of that. We have a bulldog out that if he sees somebody doing the advertising and they're not registered, we know it like by 9 o'clock the next morning. So we're docking each other, and then we're pursuing them. Right now, we have 2 cases from municipal court to find people that are not following the rules.
Okay.
And then the only other thing I wanted to say was that, yes, the fundraising is great, but it's not,
It's still a steady stream.
it's not something we can put in the budget. So, I mean, it's just not,
It's like, frankly, we need a new fire truck, costs $500,000, let's have a bake sale.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But it
That's
shows the
right.
community, what the point was that the community wants
Yes.
to see some effort.
Yes. Go ahead, Pete.
So it's kind of off topic, but you said the word fine. And that reminded me of when you were city administrator, you remember we had property owners that weren't cutting their vegetation back?
Yes.
We ran into that last year where, you know, there was property, and so I just wanted to make sure that we're getting the word out to people about vegetation management before we get into the fire season. We don't want people out there trying to cut it in July and August.
Is it in the newsletter? Did I forget that one?
Late sale.
I don't think, so it'll be next, it'll be next.
And I'm specifically thinking of Winsong Phase 2, all of that property down there didn't get cut last year.
Okay, well, again, we also have a community liaison that's supposed to be one too, not that.
So, thank you.
All right. And Kathy, do you have anything? I always wanna make sure I ask you.
No, Mary, I don't think I will.
All right, thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Adjourn, sorry.
Second?
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion to adjourn, it's unanimous.
Yes, there's ice.
There's ice cream.
Ice.